Now, the threshold of global conflict has just shifted as Moscow has unleashed the Oreshnik, a nuclear-capable hypersonic monster on the edge of NATO's borders. A massive swarm of about 242 drones and about 36 missiles turned the Ukrainian sky into a furnace, and 4 people are reported to have been killed and multiple others been injured. The world, of course, is watching this fallout of this escalation that is bringing the threat of a possible nuclear-capable missile to the doorstep of the West. Our next report tells you more.
The sky over Lviv lit up. In a terrifying display of ballistic dominance, Russia launched the Oreshnik, a hypersonic nuclear-capable missile designed to evade every known defense system. This wasn't a random strike. The impact zone, close to the Polish border, sent a chilling signal to the European Union and the NATO alliance. The message from Moscow is clear: nowhere is out of reach. A barrage of 242 drones and 36 missiles ripped across Ukrainian airspace. Then came the Oreshnik, which means hazel tree in Russian. It is the second time that Russia has used the intermediate-range Oreshnik, a missile which President Vladimir Putin has boasted is impossible to intercept because of its reported velocity of more than 10 times the speed of sound.
Our enemies say that this is an Oreshnik. I don't know how this missile is classified, but it is certainly scary, because here are human beings, and the weapon they are using, I think, should be discussed seriously at the level of our partners from the European Union and the United States of America, because it is actually very close to the European Union.
Moscow claims it struck a drone factory and energy infrastructure. Ukrainian officials paint a grimmer picture of damage to a critical underground gas storage hub, the threat reverberating through Europe. In the capital Kyiv, residential districts are shattered. Power grids buckled under the strike, plunging more than 500,000 homes into darkness amid sub-zero cold.
What Russia is doing, of course, shows that they do not want peace. But people really want peace. People are suffering. People are dying. Today, many people died. Many rescuers were injured. A medic died in the Darnitsky district. There are a lot of injured people.
Ukraine has also been launching drone and missile strikes. The Russian border city of Belgorod came under a missile strike. Over 500,000 people are without power.
According to the results of the enemy's overnight attack on Belgorod region's utility infrastructure, as of 6 a.m. today, 556,000 people in 6 municipalities are without power.
From Moscow's war room to Ukraine's rubble, brinkmanship peaks. Hypersonic shadow looms over Europe. One misfire could spark a global firestorm. This is no longer just a frontline battle. It is a high-speed, high-stakes collision course with history. Bureau Report, WION. World is one.
All right, now joining us all the way from Geneva is Dr. Zachary Pakin. He's the Deputy Director of the Better Order Project at the Quincy Institute for Responsible Statecraft in Washington, and also a Senior Fellow at the Institute for Peace and Diplomacy. Dr. Pakin, thank you very much indeed for joining us here on WION. Now, I want you to weigh in on what the Russian Defense Ministry has said after using this Orishnik hypersonic missile, where they say that this attack by the Orishnik is in response to the attack that the Ukrainians tried to carry out on one of Vladimir Putin's residences in Novgorod. And this is a message that's been put out by the Russians. How do you see this?
Well, thanks so much for having me. I think it's a response to many things. It's a response to that alleged Ukrainian attack on Putin's residence. It's a response to the American seizure of a Russian flag flying vessel, tanker. And then on top of this, I think most importantly, it's a response to the latest summit of the Coalition of the Willing in Paris. in which it appears as though Western countries are preparing to move ahead with some kind of troop deployment to Ukraine after a ceasefire is reached. But of course, Russia has made it clear that that's one of its red lines. And so far, what we've seen is that the Americans have not fully signed on to this. The Coalition of the Willing's final statement speaks only of a proposed U.S. participation in this multinational force in some capacity. And the Russians are basically reiterating their red line with this attack here by basically saying, we can make life very complicated for you. Don't cross this red line. And so I hope that this encourages all parties basically to reach a mutually acceptable compromise that can bring this horrible war to an end.
Interesting. Now, the fact that the Coalition of the Willing in its draft was talking about positioning some of these troops, including that of the Americans, in a buffer zone between Russia and Ukraine. But the Russians have clearly rejected that. They've said that any troops that are stationed even in a buffer zone will become legitimate targets, which effectively means that there cannot be any security guarantees for Ukraine in the course of these peace talks. Does it mean that these peace talks have now effectively failed?
No, not at all. And that doesn't mean that there are not any effective security guarantees for Ukraine. The most important security guarantee for Ukraine is a large and capable Ukrainian military, and they are going to have that. The latest drafts of the 20-point plan point to an 800,000, strong Ukrainian forces after the war. The Ukrainians aren't even going to be able to manage that large of a force in peacetime. So de facto, that means that there's no serious cap on it. Beyond that,
my question to you, Dr. Bacon, if I can just interrupt there, my question to you was about the Coalition of the Willing floating this idea of stationing predominantly NATO troops led by the United States of America, which has been rejected by Russia. With that being the case, can the peace talks proceed from here?
They absolutely can, because you don't need to have, the precise Article 5 application to Ukraine in order for Ukraine to have security guarantees that it can, deem to be significant enough language-wise for its own security. There's going to be some fudging here where basically the language is going to be strong enough for the Ukrainians to be able to say, look what we got, this is good, this is enough for us. And that, the Europeans are going to need to have in order to save face, and that the Russians, of course, are going to have to get something from this overall, framework agreement that they can also use to save face. That's what we're talking about here at this point in time.
Interesting. Thank you very much indeed, Dr. Zachary Paikin, for joining us from Geneva and getting us that perspective.
Thanks very much.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.